I just want to wish all the moms and the grandmas happy Mother's Day. You guys really deserve it. The world would be a very boring and uninteresting place if we didn't have women. Everything was run by dads and guys. It would not be a very interesting world. And I will share a little bit more about some reflections on that throughout the message today. I have a few different things I wanted to talk about. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody who helped out with the Spring Refresh yesterday. As you saw from the pictures, and if you were there, it was just a lot of really great energy. And I love, every year, as we get ready for the Spring Refresh, I think to myself, is it really worth doing this every year? This shopping and the preparation and the money and all this stuff. And I'm always reminded as we're doing the Spring Refresh how enjoyable it is and how meaningful it is to be able to take the day. I'm sure there's things that we can improve, but to be able to take the day and just come together as a community, clean and improve and build ownership of our church, and also to be able to invite people from the community to be able to come and enjoy it. Actually, somebody, I don't know who they were, but they gave a donation online over $230. I was like, wow, I would expect maybe, thanks, $20 or something, oh, that's nice, I appreciate a nice burger or some free clothes, but that was a significant amount of money, I thought. And there's a name, but I don't recognize the name, so I think it must have been just one of the visitors. And and there was a number of people I heard that asked, so where can I leave a donation? Of course, we weren't ready for that, because we're not doing this to get donations. And just many people expressing how much they appreciate, something like that, where anyone can just come and have a great time and a free meal and free clothes. It's becoming rarer and rarer, right, to find those kind of things these days. And I feel proud, that we can offer such a thing, and also introduce new people to our church, and get some things done that maybe we've been putting off. Like a group of people, we didn't have pictures of it, but a group of people were working on staining the fence over there at the old parsonage. And that's something that I've been wanting to do for 2 years. I had just planned to do it myself, and it didn't happen. Now we don't live there anymore. So I was like, this is never going to happen. So we did it. I'm grateful to everybody who worked hard, and it was a long day, but it was a lot of fun. I think everyone had a really good time, and win-win, I think. So many of you know that we just came back this week from a trip. We spent 2 weeks in Japan, and we spent 1 week in Korea. And this is kind of the culmination of a year ago. I went to Korea kind of begrudgingly. Didn't really want to go, but I was expected to go. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go and make the best of it. And I had such a good experience. And then at that time, I made a decision on bringing my family. And as many ideas happen, there's no real substance to the idea. And as I shared with you even a couple months ago, I was having second thoughts about whether it was really feasible if we could go or not. It's one thing for one person to go, but it's another thing to have 6 people go. It's very expensive, and there's a lot more practical considerations. I could sleep on the floor pretty much anywhere. I'm not thrilled about it, but I could do it, But I wouldn't want my family to do that. So, but somehow, and this has kind of been my experience with a lot of things in life, is that somehow when you make a commitment or a decision to do something, it's really important to you, somehow along the way, a path opens up for that to be possible. And I found that to be true in this case as well. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, well, we'll buy some cheap tickets, way in advance. That didn't happen. And we'll just spend, like a week in Korea, and we'll do all the things in Korea, and then, we'll have a very meaningful, spiritual, and hopefully fun experience, and then we'll come home. But Adonia was like, well, if we're going to go all the way to Korea, then let's spend some time in Japan. There's all these things in Japan we want to do and see, and I have relatives there that would be good to reconnect with, although we haven't talked in 25 years. But it's the kids' heritage, It'd be good for them to have some experience in country that they come from. And she wanted to really make it a much more like wholesome experience, like to do a lot of more different things. And my focus was more like, I want them to have some kind of a spiritual experience in Cheonggyeong, see the blessing, see all the cool new things that are there, and then we'll come home. More simple, more cheap. And as many experiences in my life, I felt that what started off as just a kind of a small, fairly simple idea ended up becoming something much bigger and much better than what I had wanted, than what I thought was possible. It's a reminder for me about God's guiding hand in our lives, that many times we have some idea of what we want for our life, or we have some idea of what is possible, but if we leave some of the control in God's hands, then God has a bigger hopes and a bigger idea for what we could experience in our life than we do, just on our own limited way. It also emphasizes the difference between fathers and mothers. And that's a point that I kind of reflected on a little bit. A lot of guys, we could live in a garage. I have a friend who, he bought a house, and he lived in the shed of the house. And he rented out the house because he wanted to make the money, and he didn't mind living in a shed, kind of a single guy, bachelor life. And you think that's funny, but there's a lot of guys out there who would do that. If you're a single guy and you want to make like an investment property or something, that seems a very reasonable thing to do. And so similarly for me, like my focus was on, okay, let's do it cheaply, and let's do it, let's focus on like the spiritual experience. And part of the reason why I struggled near the end there of deciding whether or not to go was because True Mother was in detention. We didn't know how things were going to go. We didn't know if the blessing was going to happen, so we didn't know if it was a good time to go to Korea. And so we couldn't really we didn't feel confident to buy tickets in advance when they were cheaper. So when we did end up buying tickets, they were a lot more expensive than they could have been. But Adonia's focus was really on like, how can we make a really like amazing experience for our whole family? And I kind of wanted that, but just kind of in my own way, my own simple way. And let's see, where's that remote? Gotcha. So here's a couple quotes. This verse from Proverbs from the Bible. Let your father and mother be glad. Let her who bore you rejoice. It really helped remind me of how grateful I am, or how blessed I am to have such amazing women in my life. Not just Adonia, who is an amazing woman and a mother, but my mom, who's over there, yeah. Actually, she probably wouldn't want me saying this, but as we were preparing to go to Korea and Japan, we had some money that we had set aside, and also some money that I received from my grandfather when he had passed away a couple years ago. Was it last year? But we didn't really have enough where we could have a trip. It was going to be a very frugal trip. And my mom had some Japanese money that she never exchanged into dollars, but the currency exchange rate now is terrible. And so she was like, here, just take this money and use it. And we were like, weren't expecting that. We weren't asking for it, but it allowed us to be able to travel more freely and to be able to eat nicer meals, whereas maybe we would have just been eating the 7-Eleven food there, which, so if you haven't been to Japan, 7-Eleven food is much better there than it is here. It's a crime, actually, how much better it is than here. But it's still 7-Eleven food, like nicer to be able to go out to conveyor belt sushi or something nice like that to be able to experience with the kids. Actually, they really enjoyed the conveyor belt sushi because there's games. Like the more dishes you buy, you put the dishes in, and you put 5 dishes in, and you might get a prize. It's really and the prize is like a sticker, but it's so exciting to them, It's so funny how that probably going to be a top 5 memory from the trip, like winning stickers. But, hey, that's the way it goes. That's all right. Nothing wrong with it. This also is from True Mother. It's a little bit more like, is a little more of a serious thing, but just to get an insight into the heart of mothers. I also know the pain of losing a family member, of saying goodbye to a child while remaining in this world myself. 4 of my children have already departed this life. Is not every father and mother committed to give their life to save their child? Love between parents and children most resembles God's love. Love within the family is the model of the love that God desires us to practice in all spheres of life. There we go. So all these things, I don't know if you have ever listened to comedy. I enjoy some comedy. Jim Gaffigan. Are there any Jim Gaffigan fans? 1, 2, 3. Okay. A little bit embarrassed to raise your hand, maybe? Okay, I get it. I like Jim Gaffigan. I think he's hilarious. And he has this bit on Mother's Day and Father's Day. He talks about how Mother's Day is like the number 2 or the number 3 holiday in America, and Father's Day is like way down there. It's like number 35 or something like that. And he's really fun. He's like, I can't even think of 35 holidays. Like, what is in between like Mother's Day and Father's Day? And part of it is just the economics, right? Like, it's hard to buy stuff for dads. Like, they don't. You ask your dad like what they want for their birthday or whatever, and they're like, it's hard. And it's a little bit easier for what to get from others. You take them out for dinner, you get flowers, you get chocolates, you get, kind of the things that they like. And a lot of dads, because we can live in a garage, we just don't have that like list of things. Maybe some tools, but like they have to be the tools you want. So a new computer, but it has to be the computer you want. It's a little harder. So people give up, right? People give up is kind of what it comes down to. So that might be one explanation, part of explanation. But I can say with confidence in this experience, not just with Adonia's perspective on, like wanting to make a really beautiful trip for our whole family and our kids to have such great memories, but also for like my mom's support, and also like when we went there, my aunt and uncle, were really excited to show us Japanese hospitality, which I was a little bit surprised because we hadn't. Like I said, I hadn't seen them in like 25 years, 30 years. And, we don't really have much of a relationship. But right away, they met us at the subway and they were like, oh, you don't need to take all your heavy bags to the Airbnb. We'll get taxis. And, and they wouldn't let us pay for anything. And then when we went to visit my cousin in Tokyo, my cousin was like, oh, we want to take you out to dinner. I was like, well, that's fine, but please let us pay, because every time we're with my aunt and uncle, they won't let us pay for anything. And she's like, oh, don't worry. My aunt, her mom sent her money to take us out for dinner. They had everything covered. Like, they wouldn't allow us to pay for stuff. And it was just like things like that were very just like, oh, we felt, Yeah, exactly. We're guests.
My mom's older sister did that to me and her.
Exactly. And it was just a very above and beyond. But not everybody treats their guests that way, unfortunately. There's pros and cons to everything, I guess. But I just felt like, wow, the motherliness of everything kind of came through. And also when we were in Korea, we spent most of the time in Champyeong, which is like our church's spiritual training center and retreat. And everything about our experience there also is just very like a motherly embrace. It used to be in the day, if you went to Champyeong, you did the schedule, you did the work, and that was it. You didn't do anything outside of that. And if you did, that was very no-no. You might have somebody come find you and be like, why aren't you participating? But now, there's still the workshop sessions and the things are still happening, but while those things are happening, there's things happening for families and for kids, and there's all these festivals and sports that kids are doing and different things. And if you're not doing the Chunyan session, but you're eating food at the festival, it's totally okay. And I'm not saying that just because of that, but there were so many things that we could do as a family, and that didn't exist 20 years ago. The one thing that really was a bit of a bummer of our trip was the one thing that I organized as the father. So Adonia did all the planning. She got the tickets, she organized the Airbnbs, or like the place we stayed at when we went to the monkey hot spring thing, and all this different stuff was organized. She planned it all. But in Korea, we kind of didn't really have a clear plan of where we were going to stay, and we were like, well, okay, worst case scenario, we can just stay with the workshop group. But then I was keeping an eye out for possibilities, and I had an opportunity. A friend of a friend reached out to us, a church member. I didn't know him personally, and he had a house, and he was renting parts of the house out for people who were coming to visit for whatever. So we were like, oh, great, this is great. This is an answer to a prayer, so we're going to be here these days. He's available these days. We'll rent the place out, no problem. And it's like in walking distance of Champyeong and all these things. And I thought this is going to be way better than sleeping on the floor and because in Korea, group showers are a big thing. I don't know if you guys all know this, but there's no issue with people getting naked in front of each other in the showers of same gender. So I'm not thrilled with this. I've done it. It's not something I'm comfortable with. And the kids were really we were like, hey, by the way, guys, this is kind of like what they do in Korea. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. We're just not going to shower the whole time we're there. I'm like, each his own. But I was like, yeah, well, they're not excited about it. So it'd be nice to have our own showers and our own beds. And it did not turn out like that at all. We ended up renting a place, and we still didn't have our own showers because the water didn't work. We didn't have any running water in our place for 6 days. So that was really not unexpected. I was like, surely a rental property has running water. But I was wrong. And it was a little bit it was very challenging. Couldn't flush toilets, couldn't take showers, and couldn't, use water for drinking or brushing teeth or cooking or anything like that. That being said, out of everything we did, that was really the only hiccup. But I felt really embarrassed because as the father, I was like, oh yes, I'm providing this my one contribution to this trip besides the original idea. Really was, and I was so grateful our kids, they didn't outwardly complain too much, but I knew that I could see that it was disappointing for them. I apologized. I was like, sorry, if I had known, I wouldn't have done this, but what's done is done. Here's a quote I'd like to share. It's from our true father. He said, When parents raise their children, specifically while a mother feeds her baby, she does not say, later, when you understand things, you'd better remember that I am the one who raised you. A parent like that would not be normal. If you want to be that way, I suggest you raise a cow and ask it to help you with your work. No parent would request of his or her child, I have loved you this much, so you have to repay me more than that amount. You sacrifice for a person you love. You give and still feel it is not enough. You want to give and keep on giving more. This way of love continuously brings us to feel ultimate value and provides constant hope for the future. Even in this fallen world, a mother who loves her children invests in them and then repeatedly forgets how much she has given. She serves and sacrifices for their sake, hoping they will do well. Even though her child fails to attain success, until her dying moment, she wants to continue to invest. This is the love of a mother. That is how it is, even in this fallen world. When children come to know their mother was like this, they will go to her grave and tearfully ask her to forgive their unfilial behavior. Even though it is too late, they will repent, resolving to turn around degrees and fulfill their duty to her. This filial piety is not a way of clever strategies or methods. This is the way of love, of truly sacrificing and offering one's flesh and blood. Parents' love toward their children does not appear just on the basis of routine, everyday interactions. It is a love that springs from the very marrow of the parents' bones. The parents have a heart of love that, beyond their own will, they can never forget or cut off. Therefore, parents love their children as long as they live. When parents feel that their lives are connected with their children, a loving heart toward their children naturally springs up. Parents don't make a conscious choice in saying, I am going to love that child because he is my son, as if they could not do otherwise, as if they could do otherwise. They share heart and connection. The life force that connects them guarantees they cannot help loving their children. That is, I thought, a very beautiful quote. You know, having kids, becoming a parent, getting married, these are all like big commitments. And I feel like it's hard sometimes to commit to something like that. It's big. It can be scary. I often have told people, you know, if I knew how hard it would be at times to be married, if I knew how hard it would be at times to be a pastor, if I knew how hard it would be at times, the challenges I would go through to have children, if you knew all of that stuff in advance, it would make it hard to make that decision. Somehow, somewhere deep within us, we understand that those things are worth any price that may come along the way. Somewhere innately, I think it comes from God. We understand these things. It's just, it's intuitive. But there is the reality that these commitments are a big deal. And one of the things that I've been reflecting about recently, partly as a part of this trip, but just in general, what's the next commitment that I want to get excited about? What's the next commitment that we want to take on that probably if we knew all the things that it would entail, we would not do it? Those are the exciting commitments because they have so much potential. And so, like many things that we've done over the years, we created like an idea. We have an idea. That's how everything starts. It's just an idea. It's nothing. No plan, no concreteness, just an idea. Like when we made that poster of how we were going to renovate the outside of the church, or how like when we were like, remember, I don't know how it happened, but the one day we were like, yeah, you know, we'd really like to, get a new parsonage. These kind of things, they all start with like just an idea. And one of the things that I've really been thinking, and I've shared this with some of you before, but I'm really feeling it stronger and stronger and stronger as the weeks go by. I just feel like we are a tree that is outgrowing the pot or a flower or whatever, you know. We're like, our community represents like a tree in a pot, and the tree's getting bigger, and it's being more fruitful in different ways, whatever, and the pot is getting too small. And also, it's been really cool that Reverend Dunkley came and visited our community and gave our community such praise. And then unexpectedly, we got this award. It just kind of came out of the blue. Headquarters wanted to nominate our community for this award. No guarantee we would get it. Probably one of many nominated communities all around the world. But they wanted to nominate us for this award in excellence in young parents ministry. And then, but we were in Japan, and they were like, "Can you make a video?" I was like, I had to run out and buy a dress shirt because all I had was T-shirts and like anime sweaters. And I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but like in Korea, they want everyone to be dressed up in suits and stuff, suits and ties. And I mean, even on my best day, it's hard to find me in that outfit. So I went out and bought a dress shirt at least. And of course, Adonia always has something nice to wear. And we made a video, and we submitted the photos and whatever they wanted. And then sure enough, they gave us this award. And I don't really care about awards and recognition so much, but it's not bad either to be recognized in some way. It gives some level of confirmation that not only in our eyes, but even in the eyes of the national church organization, they like what we're doing. And as you know, sometimes we wonder because we don't always do what we're told. We're a little bit known as kind of a stubborn-minded, kind of like a mule community. Like we don't always do what we're told. Sometimes we say no. Sometimes we give alternatives, options to what we're asked to do or whatever. It's like we're just not the yes men kind of community. And sometimes it seems like that's all they want. And so even despite all that, to be recognized that our fruits are good is nice, Next time somebody criticizes us, I'll be like, look at the look at the award, Yeah. So it says, in acknowledgement of unwavering devotion and faithful stewardship in advancing the global mission through excellence in young parents ministry. And it's funny, we were there in Korea, so we could have actually gone and received the award in person, but I was like, I don't have a suit, and that's our window of opportunity to go do this stuff. So I asked my friend to go receive the award for me. And then later on, this guy was like, hey, I saw you guys on the video, but I saw that you're here. How come you didn't receive the award in person? We were like, oh, shoot. People noticed, but it was funny. It was good. And but I do feel that it's meaningful, maybe in some small way or maybe some big way, that our community is ready for moving to a new level. And that's what I'm excited about. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but that's what we're going to be working on now. Moving our community to the next level. So last time when we did the exterior renovation of the building, I remember I met with Mira and Joelle and Shuard, and I spent 50 hours on Photoshop figuring out what the building could look like. And that was kind of awful, but that's all we had at the time. Now we have AI. AI is amazing. And I can upload a picture to AI and be like, change the paint color, add some decor, add some trees, add a playground, and it'll just do everything for you. I'm really excited about that. So in the coming weeks, we're going to be working together closely with our core team and with all of you to really come up with something that we're excited about going to a new level as a community. And just like everything, it starts with an idea, a commitment, and it will end up being a little bit painful, the whole process, and things will turn out differently than we originally intentioned or imagined, but they'll be better. And so I'm excited about doing that with all of you, and so keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks. And that's it. That's what I have today. So I'll offer a prayer. Dearest Heavenly Parent, good morning. We thank you so much, Heavenly Parent, for your presence and your guidance in our lives, for the richness of life that you created us to be able to experience so much. And sometimes we get glimpses of like what your original hope was for us to be able to experience in our life, not to experience all the pain and disappointment and all the things that we all experience, but also so much beauty and so much love. And Heavenly Parent, on this Mother's Day today, we want to acknowledge so much of that beauty comes from the mothers in our lives, how much they've poured out of themselves to create an environment for their families, for us to be able to live in, for us to be able to benefit from, at many times so much their own expense. How much our mothers want for their children to live beautiful, fulfilled, and happy lives, and how much that love comes from you. I hope today that we can really take time to acknowledge the mothers, the grandmothers, the women in our lives, and really appreciate them for what they bring to our lives. Because many times, just like everything, it can be so easy to take it for granted. I thank you, Heavenly Parent, and I offer this prayer on behalf of our whole community and our name's Blessed Central families. Amen and adieu. Thank you.